What's something like you've learned building all these different companies?
I've always been a hard worker. Doesn't necessarily mean it's effective. So slowing down, focusing on process has really been, I think, a game changer for me as I've been in these different businesses, and that could be anywhere from, the technology you're using to, implementing processes from, end to end. A bigger commitment on building something that's just not just for your business, but kind of for your life.
What do you see in the future for Closet Envy? Anything different you're kind of working on?
We've been trying to, and we're almost there, so close, but this industry is really been impacted by technology and more of an automation type of thing. So the manufacturing process being automated, that's a biggie for us. I don't know how AI is going to really impact our business in terms of design. I was at a couple of conferences and they say it's coming. It won't ever replace designers. I just don't see how that's possible because there's just so much human interaction that's needed.
Welcome to Palm Harbor Local, the show about the active, outdoor, and healthy lifestyle that defines life here on Florida's Gulf Coast. I'm your host, Donnie Hathaway, and today we're sitting down with Brent Irish, who is one of the owners of Closet Envy Tampa Bay. And we're having a real conversation about wellness and how organized space can save time, reduce stress, and create peace of mind, and how thoughtful design supports life here in Palm Harbor. Let's jump in. So first podcast.
It is.
Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here, Donnie. Yeah,
this is fun, man. So we were just talking, right? Like we've known each other now 7-8 years. It's gotta be something like that.
Yeah. Back from our old Camp Gladiator days.
Camp Gladiator, 5 a.m. in the morning, waking up and working outside.
Right. Yeah, getting our day started off right. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun and competitive. And you're so fast. You still are fast, I'm sure. But yeah, I just remember I'm like, gosh, man, what's this guy? So you're a former baseball player though too, right?
Yeah, I played baseball a lot growing up. Yeah, so I love being active, and I think that's what was fun about Camp Gladiator.
Yeah,
was just the ability to do. I mean, just to be outside was fun.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. A lot different from Texas, and that's where CG started. But yeah, when I came here, I was so intimidated by it, and so I was going to the normal box gyms and started Camp Gladiator up in Tarpon, actually, with a great trainer there that really made things difficult. And then once I started getting the confidence to work out with other people, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and find a more competitive group. And then I went down to Dunedin where you guys were working out. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a good group. We had a good group there for a while. Which makes it a lot of fun, right?
Yeah,
having that community and stuff.
100%. So. Yeah.
All right, so you are the owner of the Closet Envy Tampa Bay franchise, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. We've just opened up a little over a year ago after our expansions in a few other markets. But I'm a GM and owner and wear a lot of hats just like a small business owner would.
Nice. So going back to the beginning, how did you get into closets and that business? How long have you been in that business?
Yeah, so gosh, I owned a logistics company back in Texas close to 20 years ago, and I had sold that and was looking to do something else. And I was living in downtown Dallas, and one of my neighbors had just purchased a closet system. I'm like, custom closets? I didn't even know it was an industry. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for some other type of business to get into, and that's how I found California Closets. Over 18 years ago, actually, and I just recognized how much of an impact it was making on our neighbors' lives. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't even realize this industry existed. And so I did a lot of research and just fell in love with it immediately. Yeah.
Was California Closets, were they like the first ones to really like break into we're going to create custom closets?
Exactly. Yeah. Gosh, now I'm going to say they're probably coming up on their 50-year anniversary. Okay. Yeah. So crazy. Yeah. And I had the pleasure of working with Barry, who was what we call legacy owner. He was one of the very first franchisees.
Oh, wow.
And I had the opportunity to work with him for about a year.
Cool.
So that was really helpful and fall in love with the business. He showed me the ropes, and, I had every intention of buying a franchise. I wanted to know everything about it, from designing to management to production. Mm-hmm. And I was just grateful for that opportunity for him to really take me under his wing and show me everything about the business. Yeah.
So going back to Texas, like the logistics company, that you were an owner in that company as well?
Yeah.
Is that something like you've always, like growing up, like always wanted to be like an owner or owner-owned business?
Yeah. I've always been a hard worker. I grew up on a farm practically, during the summer we'd haul hay and I'd work on a dairy before and after school. So,
Okay.
I started working very young and I just always had that work ethic. And I realized, shortly after college that, I think I could make a run for this. And so back then, I'm showing my age now, but it's the .com business. So I opened up a business called JoeFixit.com.
Okay. Classic.
Yeah. So I spent some time in San Diego and Denver and Atlanta and Dallas when we launched that business. And we were getting so close to going a round 2 of financing. Like we were thinking we were going to go public. Like this thing was taking off.
Wow.
It was such an amazing journey. But that bubble burst, and along with that, we were able to sell our technology, which was cool. Allowed me to do some things from a business perspective to, look at some other types of industry, and so I had some relationships with some other internet types of companies, and one of them was a company called DAS, Dependable Auto Shippers.
Okay.
And it was really cool because at that time, eBay was going to start selling cars online.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, wait a minute, you're going to buy a car on the internet?
Yeah.
That was just such a strange thing at the time. And so I was with this company, and we managed to negotiate an exclusive contract with them to ship all their cars once they were sold.
Oh, wow.
So it was auto shipping on a national level.
Okay.
This company went from owning 5 trucks to over 100 practically overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, it just blew up. And it was such a great journey and had so much fun doing it. But I realized, like, wow, I'm making all these guys a lot of money here. And I also realized I could probably do this myself. So I got my broker's license and started a logistics company. And speaking of baseball, I was able to really seek out those types of professional athletes or even college athletes that were training in other locations and have to play somewhere else.
Ship cars and stuff.
And so I started a company called All Pro Auto Transports, and it was exclusive to athletes.
Nice.
And so baseball was one of our bigger clients because of spring training. And it was just so funny. I knew about trades that were happening before anybody else because they'd call me to say, hey, we got to ship his vehicle.
Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So and the company was great. I had a good run for that for about 5 years. It was, started literally out of the bedroom. My first sale was probably like a $250 commission. I was like, wow, this is great. And then 3 years later, I had 20 employees and close to $3 million in revenue. Wow, so cool. It was a lot of fun.
What's something like you've learned building all these different companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Now, where I'm at, if I could look back, it's probably slowing down, like working hard, which again, I've always been a hard worker, doesn't necessarily mean it's effective, So slowing down and focusing on process has really been, I think, a game changer for me as I've been in these different businesses. And that could be anywhere from, the technology you're using to, implementing processes from, end to end. And I think probably more recently, Donnie, it's probably been a bigger commitment on building something that's just not just for your business, but kind of for your life,
Okay.
I try and find a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. So I think if there's, probably any advice I could give anybody is, slow down, put those processes in place, obviously hire some people that are smarter than you. I've been grateful for that. And also just know that, build that business for your life, not for the actual products. And, it's just try and have that balance. Yeah.
I love that because that's something I've been thinking on a lot about recently. And, you hear different perspectives and stuff. Do you think so now that you've built these companies and stuff and you're in the position and now you have this mindset of like, all right, maybe I need to slow down or I should have slowed down before. Do you think you have to go through those that journey of growth and like building these other or building something, whatever, if it's multiple companies or one company, you have to go through that process of like the grind, the hustle to get to that understanding? Or is that something like, if I'm starting a business today, I can start with that mindset and grow it that way and be more successful? Or
Well, I think everybody's going to hustle right out of the gate, and they should, because it is. You've got to have the energy for it, know. And it's not a young man's game. Like I've started, this particular business, at 55, know, and I love it. But at the end of the day, I do feel like if you first leverage the resources that may be available to you, like from day one, I've been, business owners for several decades. I reached out to a business coach like from day one. I'm like, I don't know everything, and I certainly am coachable, but could I do this differently? And I could based on my own experience, but I still needed that outside support. And so, starting out, that might be a good idea for entrepreneurs. Is like, and there's so many resources out there for that. Some that you don't even have to pay. Like there's consultants and there's people that are retired just want to get back. So I say, start there, and might save you a little bit of time.
Before we continue with today's episode, I want to take a quick moment to thank Valley Bank for supporting Palm Harbor Local. I recently moved my business banking over to Valley, and what stood out to me right away was how relationship-driven their approach is. You're not calling a hotline, you're working with real people who understand local businesses and make decisions locally. This episode is supported by Chad Britz, first vice president at Valley Bank's Countryside branch, who works closely with individuals and business owners throughout our entire community. If this kind of local, relationship-driven banking matters to you, you can learn more at www.valley.com or email Chad directly at cbritts@valley.com. I like that. So, I mean, even with like YouTube and social media and stuff, like there's all this information available about whatever business you're in, or just, like you said, just how to grow the company and stuff. So I have a business coach, business life coach right now. And it's interesting because like one of the things we've talked about in the beginning was finding more joy in personal life and in business, so awesome. Right? And tying that together, right? So exactly, I think what you were saying is like creating your business around the things that you enjoy doing.
Absolutely. In fact, when I reached out to my business coach, he's an amazing man, great entrepreneur, very successful. He wanted to help me more on a personal level. He could always, answer some business stuff. In fact, I had a 15-minute call with him yesterday on a conflict that I was having, but everything from sitting down and doing some vision work, guided meditation to like really put me in a different place mentally. It helps me lead the business and put things in perspective. We even started, which took almost 3 months to develop basically a life plan, which I'd never done. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of work, but so worth it to really put things in perspective. And, we started with the personal stuff first, just like you. I was like, where do you see yourself here? And let's just like really put yourself there in a mental way. I was like, wow, this is great. This is great. Now, I've never meditated with a business coach over Zoom, but it worked out great.
Oh, yeah. Have you done meditation before, just like personally by yourself?
Back in our training days when I was doing all the Spartan races and stuff like that, that was, they had Spartan Mind, and that was when, first, where it is really dedicated to prep, and then working with Crystal, she was really great about that as mental, life coach in so many ways. I'll never forget the first time I really had a big impact when my son was 11 years old, and 11 or 12. And we sat across from each other on two pillows, and I'm like, we're going to meditate today. And I just realized how impactful it was for him, even as a 12-year-old. I'm like, it's for everybody, I need to get back to it though. Honestly, it's something I should be more disciplined with, but it's made a huge impacts in the past.
It's like one of those tools I think that really helps you personally kind of like slow down. I think that's what it's done for me recently, is like allow me to slow down a little bit and kind of think through those obstacles or life goals that you want to accomplish and stuff. What was the process like for you, like creating that life plan and stuff? Like, because that's been I think that's a challenge for for me, and then probably for a lot of people
Yeah.
of like thinking 5, 10 years, 15 years out, whatever
Sure.
it is, like, how do you kind of figure that out or lay that
Yeah.
roadmap?
I could definitely share it with you,
Yeah.
in detail. But for me, it was relying on, just being open to it from my coach. That was one thing.
Okay.
Because at first I'm like, oh, I've got a 5-year plan, but let's break it down and really simplify it. And so I think we started with there, we had to have a metrics for it, and it started from a business side. Okay, where do we want to be revenue wise? What's it going to take to get there? And so we just kind of worked ourselves backwards from that point. And again, it was like a 3-month process because there's a little bit of back and forth, but it also allowed me to really come back to my business plan and say, okay, are we on track here? But it did start with identifying a few KPIs along the way, and both on personal, like for example, okay, my son's graduating and next year, and again, just looking 2 years out, where do we want to be? What colleges do we want to visit? And just kind of setting some benchmarks as a parent. And then basketball, that was another big one. It takes a lot of my time. I'm going on 3 years of coaching over here at Palm Harbor. And this year I'm helping coach JV and varsity.
Oh, wow.
And it's a lot. And, that's a volunteer position that I just love dearly. But it's also an opportunity to do something for the community, but also be with my son. But from a business owner perspective, like that's another part-time job.
Right. Yeah.
So we had to look at that too. It's like, okay,
is this something I really want to do?
Yeah. And what does that look like? So it went from, being an assistant the last couple of years to really, now I'm not attending all the practices. I had to make that decision. Our coach is like, we staffed up. So it allowed me to do some more stats and, maybe some film here and there and, a little scouting if that was important, but, and mostly just being there for the kids to help them develop. But hats off to these coaches, man. They spend so much time in this business. So I'm just glad to be part of that's the circle there. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's cool. So let's talk about Closet Envy and
okay.
How the company started and then, kind of what you guys are doing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, as I said earlier, I was with California Closets for many years. Great company, still one of the best. But when the pandemic hit, I realized that our industry had a few gaps in it. It was becoming, I thought, more transactional in the sense that, people are living at home, working from home. It just changed quite a bit. I wanted to start Closet Envy because I felt like we could bring a different experience to the customer from many different areas, from technology, but also having the client experience more, I guess, driven to, working from Zoom was one thing, but bringing the showroom to them. And so to do that, I was like, okay, could we do this? Because a showroom is pretty expensive to maintain. And I thought, let's try and figure out a way to bring that showroom experience to our customers, because during the pandemic, they didn't really need that showroom.
Oh, yeah.
And we just crushed it at California Closets during the pandemic. And then once I realized, wow, this business can actually thrive without having all of that overhead. So I pivoted and we launched Dallas, Atlanta, Sarasota, Boca about 6 months ago, and here in Tampa, and bringing that technology and experience to our clients. So that was the big, I say hole in the industry. So we do that through some great stuff too, from high-end renderings, things like that, great presentation software, interactive dashboard, that really separates us from a lot of our competition.
Yeah.
To make it less transactional and more personal. So that was the thought, and it's worked out really well. And then we couple that with basically being partnered with a company called DMA up in Atlanta, David Mitchell and Associate. David's just a great guy. It's a millwork company that's very, very large, and they just do some great, great work. They do all of our manufacturing.
Okay.
So we have access to some of the best product. So that was another one. Like, wow, we can do this in shared services of engineering and design. And so that partnership worked out really well.
Yeah, so you're really flexible in the design and customization of what the client actually needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And, being in the business for a long time, I developed some relationships with, designers, manufacturers, a lot of vendors. And so, I leveraged that and got some of the best without a doubt on every one of our locations. And so super proud of that. But with the people made and still make all the difference in the world for what Closet Envy is.
Yeah. I think that's I think post-pandemic, like that's the biggest shift that I've noticed too, is like that client experience, the relationships, like all of that. I mean, I think it was important before, but some companies, some businesses kind of got away with that, or the public, maybe didn't care too much about it. But I think it's gone back to that where everything's very relational now, and you've got to have relationships. You've got to be doing the right thing. You've got to provide a great service, no matter what the business is, even if you're just selling a product right, off the shelf or something like that. Like that service is very important.
It's super, super important. And, again, I go back to my experience through, other companies, but even with California Closets, there was 40 plus years of experience that they had. And, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to improve it a little bit here. But yeah, at the end of the day, I saw this opportunity and certainly was ready to give it another go. And even my business coach is like, "You got the energy for this?" I'm like, "Absolutely." But yeah, I think back to your statement there of things going back to that. We have recognized that bringing the showroom experience is great for our customer to their home, but we also have to give them that option to come see us. So we had to pivot. So our business model kind of shifted a little bit.
So you have both options. So you still got to maintain the showroom.
And it is. So low barrier to entry, to start, a franchise of Closet Envy, but we're recognizing that need that our clients need to come in and feel and touch our product, and just kind of in a setting, but we do it in a slightly different way than most of our competition. We try and partner in with different high rises or social clubs or maybe even a model home at a development versus just a brick and mortar showroom.
Stationary.
So we can kind of give them different options.
So that's cool because then location wise, like you can have different spots available.
We're Tampa, St. Pete. We're opening up one next month at 400 Central, which super excited about that. That's a high rise that's over 390 units there, and just absolutely breathtaking views from this building. I'm like, oh my gosh! But we're super excited to partner with a couple of other trades, from window treatment to audio visual, and an amazing interior designer, Ari. I hope she watches this because she's absolutely an amazing designer. But yeah, we're basically turning one of their units into a model showroom, and we're doing all the closets and media center for there. So we've got an exclusive on that, and I'm super excited for that. That could be a really fun year for us.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So what about, like, talk to me more about the process. So someone, like, I come to you, I'm like, Brent, I want to do my closet. What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, we try and work with our clients in any way that's comfortable for them. A lot of times now, we've traditionally have gone to their home and we'll sit down and talk about their project. And again, our designers, who are absolutely amazing, all very experienced. They want to try and facilitate that meeting in a way that asking a lot of questions and just trying to find out, how we can help them. And there's a process for that. Usually the in-home, what we call a complimentary consultation, could take anywhere from 30 minutes up to a couple hours. Now, a lot of times clients will just send us their blueprints and we'll start that relationship off just working remotely. So it helps save them a little bit of time and maybe get in alignment on budget. And design. So there's a lot of different ways we can work with them, but it always does start with usually a face-to-face meeting at some point. Yeah.
Do you typically find that the clients have an idea of what exactly what they want in their closet, or is that they're like, I just know I want a custom closet to organize my stuff and keep things neat and tidy?
They do, and there's so many tools out there now, especially even with AI that we're seeing this. I mean, we're seeing some pretty cool stuff just by simply taking a picture of your space and need a custom closet. And it
does. Like, here you go.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, this is cool. But it doesn't trade our, experienced designers. But they definitely, the collaboration part of it is probably the funnest part for our team. Like I said, I used to design nearly as good as my team is, but it's a true collaboration. Because a lot of our clients, they don't know what to expect. Like, I don't know what it's going to cost. I have no idea. And so for us to kind of navigate through that, it's a process. We try and identify, what's good for their budget and how can we get in alignment on that. What's their experience with this? Have they, some people are highly organized and others, just need a little help with it. But our designers are, trained and skilled to get to that really, really fun part of their joy. And but it's also, I think, it's more of an intimate space. It's not just a kitchen. It's not just a bathroom, which are great and they add a lot of return. This being a realtor. But the closets are becoming more like furniture now, and it's adding a lot of, first value to their home, but the experience of what, while they're in there. And so part of what, our team and our designers do is to be able to put our clients in that space and what the experience is like. For example, your wife, you might have a different schedule in the morning. Get up, are you going to your closet? Are you traveling? Where's those suitcases going? So you try and figure out how they're living in the space and how they're interacting and just that experience. And so we truly customize it based on that, their inventory. So we'll measure everything, count all their shoes, measure all the clothes, all the handbags.
Okay.
And that gives us basically the blueprint to start designing a true custom closet. And then through that, you kind of go through an editing process and a few design revisions, look at material selections, and then we bring it to life using a very, very high resolution, 3D rendering software that basically it's like you're standing in the space.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So they can see exactly what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we were talking before, I think, the organization has become more of a popular thing, or more people are taking note of that and how it can really enhance your life and lifestyle and everything, right? And a closet is a big piece of that. A kitchen is a big piece of that. And I think especially here in Florida, like one of the things I hear a lot is, I want to make sure I have enough storage.
Yeah.
Right. They have their garage and stuff, and that's really our storage space outside of our closets. So optimizing your closets inside your home, I think, has become really a necessity.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. And it's not just closets, right? It's a garage, it's home office, it's, media centers to playrooms, all of that. It's definitely, it helps eliminate a lot of stress. Once you start freeing that clutter, it really does make a big impact on your just quality of life. And one of the things that we recognized in that process, Donnie, is that, not only do we design, but, we manufacture and we install, but we also professionally organize their space. There's a couple of other companies that do that, which, we found that we can give them all the tools, but until you really truly get it organized, some like, I want it color coded, I want all the stuff, we bring in that element. And now it just really brings it home, because now everything is really, really buttoned up for our customer. And also relieves a little bit of stress of the process, because, the experience that we want to try and bring to our customers is not just, the closet itself, but the overall process. And of course, I don't know if you've seen some of those commercials, but every once in a while they're just in there having a little, cheers and glass of wine in their closets when it's done, because it's truly a life-changing thing. We love doing that. That's why I love this business, because I just get to see that often.
That's cool. I like the idea of like bringing in a professional organizer, because I think that really changes it, right? Like you said, it allows people to like really maximize what they just created and purchased and stuff. So
and I don't know about you, but there's sometimes I will buy something, and for some reason, I'm just holding a lot of value to this thing just because I simply bought it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't worn that in forever. And, a lot of our clients are that way,
Yeah.
and sometimes they, they could use the help of an organizer to, weed through that and, whether we call it purging or editing. But when we're in that design process and going through that inventory, we're having those kind of conversations. And, again, it's an intimate space, where it's such a privilege to be brought into somebody's home, but let alone see their belongings and how, it tells a lot about a person and how, and so when we're saying, hey, this is going to be great, but, we may have to do some editing here. Are you open to that? And if so, we can help you through that as well. A lot of psychology behind it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I try to work on that with my wife, but she likes to keep some things, and I'm like, but we haven't touched it in 6 months or 3 months. Like, we can get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And she's like, but what if we need it at some point? I'm like,
100%. Yeah. I mean, even owning the closet company, I'm like, yeah, my partner Marcy and I, she kind of lives by the rule, one in, one out.
Oh.
Pretty cool. But she also leverages a stylist and or an organizer for that.
Okay.
For me, I'm still holding on to something like I'm 20 pounds heavier now. I know I'm going to get back to that.
Oh yeah. Okay. So do you guys so I know you do, we've talked about the closets and stuff. You do other spaces in the home too? So like garages?
Our second most popular space is definitely garage. Here in Florida, you'll find that's, the main access point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So garages are super popular. And next to that, it's pantries. Those are so much fun, and they're high impact. It's actually probably one of my favorite spaces to design. I think that's true for a lot of my designers. Kids' closets are awesome.
Oh, cool.
Those are fun because, at the end of the day, you want a customer for life. And but you also know, being a parent, if you can get those kids to stay organized and just kind of give them the tools for it, you see that impact on the parents. And that's the same with the pantry. So, our team really focuses on those kind of areas because we know those can make a big difference. But I'd say garage, the occasional media center, those are fun.
Okay.
Kind of, wall units. We recently did this amazing wall unit that had 2 twin, what we call wall beds or Murphy beds, but for the grandkids to come on over when they're visiting.
Nice.
It's like that's and they live in this downtown high rise. They don't have a whole lot of space, but they made a little office into pull down wall beds for the grandkids. So a lot of fun.
That's great. That's cool. Yeah, it's almost like any space you need organized.
Yeah. And and that's the one thing. Once you have had that custom closet or storage experience, then the great thing, we try and do the best job we can, and we hope to get that repeater referral business because we know that down the road as they grow and things change, right? Because you being a realtor, Donnie, you've got to know this, and I have such a deep respect for that profession. Not all homes are really built for the person, unless you've had the great pleasure of designing it. But and so companies like us, I think we have an opportunity to make that home a little bit built more for them. And organizing those little areas can certainly help.
Yeah. Well, I think this ties back into like what we were talking about, designing your business to kind of fit your lifestyle. It seems like people are looking for homes that fit their lifestyle now too, right? And that's another like post-pandemic thing that has changed in real estate where it's like, and it's questions I ask all the time. Like when people are looking for a home, it's like, well, what is your life? What's your lifestyle? Like, what do you enjoy doing? Where do you spend the most time and stuff? Right. And so let's find a home that matches that lifestyle. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like with or Closet Envy, where you're creating the home to match the client's lifestyle.
I love those. I'd be interested to hear some of those questions that you asked. I'm sure there's some similarities, but are there certain like trends that you've seen post-pandemic that is more desirable for, in the home industry?
Yeah, I think having outdoor space.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I thought
like that indoor outdoor living. I know that's always been big for us is like being able to and it extends the home too, right?
Nice. Okay. Okay.
But kitchens are always a big one, right? If the family cooks or whatever. I would say kitchens, and then the indoor, outdoor living are always like
Right
the
on.
big spaces that people are really looking for to kind of fit,
Right.
their lifestyle.
Right.
Bedrooms, they're not so concerned about size and that sort of stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
they're spending their time outside of that room. But
Nice. Yeah, that
um,
makes sense. That
yeah,
makes sense. And two, I think, we found a pretty big pickup in home office
yeah,
types of environments. I mean, I know right there after the pandemic, there was a big need to, have a flex kind of almost, like, hey, these kids are here. We're going to start teaching them from home and, trying to do something really creative in those
hmm
extra rooms.
yep.
I've kind of seen that slow down a little bit, but I didn't know if that was still relative in the, home market. People are looking at that
I would
for
agree.
sure.
I think it's like in the beginning, it was
Mhm.
when everyone was working from home pretty much. It
Yeah,
was kind of like, yeah,
yeah,
we need this, and like that was a thought. But as people are starting to go
yeah,
back to the office, it's
yeah,
kind of like it's nice to have the extra space, but it's not
yeah.
necessarily needed and stuff.
Right, right.
Like we have 3 bedrooms, but one of the bedrooms is for like the girls' playroom.
Nice.
So it's like
Right.
all their stuff can go in there,
Very
and that's a
cool.
room for them to kind of hang out
Very cool.
so again, but like having that organized and stuff is huge.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. The playrooms. Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first started in this business. My son he wasn't born yet, and um, I'll never forget, bringing him home, and we had this old home built in the 1920s in East Dallas, and I spent, I want to say, 6 months on trying to design this extra space that we had, because I worked from home at the time. I was a designer,
Mm-hmm.
and knew that I had this kid that's going to grow, and I needed a little playroom, but also the closets were so small in this old home that
Yeah.
needed to use that closet myself, a little reach in. So, and also as a secondary media room, and it was just a small little bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally to experience that, design it, and then live it for a couple of years as he was growing. Oh man, that's what it's about. Because, and again, you've got what, 4, 6-year-olds, is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So yeah, they're going to continue to grow and their needs change. And, if you can have a place that's dedicated for that growth, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in the phase right now. We're looking at bunk beds for
Oh,
them.
cool.
So it's like, how do
Oh.
we fit them into the rooms? Like, do we need a custom bunk? It's yeah. Maybe that's what you guys should get into next.
Yeah, right.
Custom bunk beds.
Oh, we've been
With
asked.
storage and everything.
We have been
Have you?
asked. Oh, yeah. My designer's like, can we do this? I'm like, no, some things we're good at, but those are probably not in our wheelhouse.
Well, that's what we're struggling is like we want, we've got a dresser in there for their clothes now, but if you're putting bunk beds in, it takes up more space. So it'd be
Right.
nice to have like storage in the bunk bed that fits in their small room. It's just, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some opportunities there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Start with the closets and you'll be okay.
Yeah. So what do you guys, what do you see in the future for Closet Envy? Anything different you're kind of working on?
Well, yeah, we're right now we've been trying to, and we're almost there, so close. But this industry has really been impacted by technology and more of an automation type of thing. So the manufacturing process being automated, that's a biggie for us. So what we call screen to machine. So if we're in front of a client, we're designing something, whatever you see here is what is electronically being sent
Okay.
to the manufacturing facility. So it's truly more capable of doing some like custom line boring. That's a big thing in our business right now, where clients don't want to see a bunch of adjustable or visible holes in their system. So it looks really built in,
Okay.
which is awesome. Big trend that we're seeing, some fun things, is tunable LEDs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is really fun because, in fact, our showroom, this is the first time we're going to have it. Yeah, this is going to be a big thing this year, but having our clients have the option of changing the temperature of their room in their closet, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in the morning you want that bright daylight type of light, and maybe in the evenings, want to kind of dim it down to a warm light. We see a lot of lightings in our closets now. I would say probably 80%. So that's a big impact, big trend. I think other things, I don't know how AI is going to really impact our business in terms of design, but I was at a couple of conferences, and they say it's coming.
Yeah.
To and it won't ever replace designers. I just don't see how that's possible because there's just so much human interaction that's needed.
Yeah.
But
And knowing like what's functional, like what works, what doesn't work.
100%. But, in terms of process, I mean, I use it quite a bit, and, it's helped me not only from, automation and things that, we could do, with somebody, on the phone constantly, but it's just added that extra level of service and touch points. So I think that's going to be probably a big thing. We're a small business, so it's not, we're not too focused on that.
Yeah.
But we're really focused on new product. I'm going to head out to Milan and look at some of the new furniture that's coming out. That's really important to us because we're not this huge national company. We've got some great locations and we have access to some great vendors, but we've driven some trends here that our competition hasn't. Like this color. This is an amazing color you have here. We've had that color for probably 4 years, and now we're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
And for a closet to come in that color, pretty awesome.
Like the shelving and materials. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have close to 53 finishes available.
Okay.
And half of that are different colored finishes. So we're seeing a trend there. Whether it's a complement of different things, the whole system doesn't have to be colored. Some cool, fun trends are, wall coverings. That's a big fabric, and being behind some exposed areas. That's a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, I saw that in one of the videos on the website. I'm like, that's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't, honestly, this is my team. Like they're driving this, and of course our corporate office has they're dialed into this. But I see that, and we've got a pretty fun product line called Deco Fronts, where it's kind of that that reeded, fluted front. So we're doing those, and of course. With our manufacturing capabilities, we can pretty much do any painted color you want or stain grade. So those are kind of fun trends that are happening in our business. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
What has changed since you've been in the closet business since like the very beginning to now?
Goodness, yeah, it's been so long. When this industry started out, it's kind of like what was that old saying Ford had? You can have any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah.
So when the industry started by California Closets, first it was just particle board. It wasn't even painted finishes. And then it went to 4 colors and then 6. But what I've seen change is that a lot of people will like, oh, I don't want that laminate. It's like a plasticky laminate. It's like there's a disconnect because they've had some experience where there may have, I don't know, the quality is not there or whatever. And there is different levels of it, 100%. But what I've seen the biggest change is the implementation of what we call melamine. It's a pressed laminate that's thermally fused that has such a unique wood grain texture to it that's not repeating patterns. It's a true one big template. And you can hold it in your hand and everything else, and you cannot tell it's a difference from, an engineered furniture grade wood versus a stained wood.
Wow.
It's just gone so far in that, and it continues to really, really make a big difference. And it's also sustainable. That's a really big part of, this industry. Back in the day, it was, particle board, and, some people still refer to it as that, but, that's like formaldehydes and all this kind of toxic stuff that and that's another reason people don't like laminates. But now, they're doing it with recycled stuff, and, it's more sustainable stuff to have and across the board, all of our products offer that.
Yeah.
Most businesses like us, we need to do that in order to, really service our clients' expectations.
Yeah. So building or using products that are safer for the individual environment, all that kind of stuff.
100%. Yeah. And you got to have data to prove it. That's the other thing.
Right.
I'm like
can't just say like, oh, we're doing this.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least, I mean, we've got specs for it. And, when we onboard a vendor, that's a really important part of their process. And, because at some point, if we're, bidding on a large commercial project, or, maybe just it's really important to somebody, I'm like, yeah, here's the data to back it up. And because I do think there's probably some companies in this industry, you can take some shortcuts, but, you can also, get product that may not be going through that kind of process. And, it's far cheaper. It is, but it just depends on what's important to you. Some of our clients, they have allergies to that stuff. So there's, but it's also just for the environment.
Yeah, I feel like the homes in themselves, like the home services and stuff, like it's trending in that direction where like everything that is in our home, the paints, the woods, like all that is being the homeowners are being intentional about what they're putting into the home, right? To make sure that it's safer, make sure it's healthier for themselves. And better for the environment and all those things.
Absolutely, Donnie.
So it is interesting to see that.
Yeah. And again, this is not something that Closet Envy, started. This is, I go back to, California Closets, and again, hats off to them because, this was a big push that they led in the industry and everybody followed. And, they forced vendors to make some of these, changes. And so, that's what I've seen change probably in my time. And then, go back to lighting, that's a real big thing. I mean, they're getting so close to almost having LED strip lighting or ribbon lighting wirelessly. It's crazy, like you can turn this stuff off with remotes and it's just
all on your phone. Yeah.
It's so cool. Like, it's like the next smart closet is going to be telling you how to dress, and they've even talked about that. It's like,
that's true.
I need that. I need somebody who says like, please wear something else today, bro.
Right. I've thought about that. So what is it? It's like Steve Jobs or like some of these where they just wear the same color all the time, same outfit.
Oh yeah.
Like, man, should I go to that? Just to have my own outfit?
No, you have way too good a style for that. No way. No, somebody like me, it's like I can get away with that.
Stuff. But it is convenient, right? Just to have like, I know what I'm wearing today. I don't have to think about it, whatever.
Right.
But I think that's the next step is like, okay, here's what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
What should I wear? Or what should I dress with? And maybe that's the AI tie into that,
Yeah.
So
in fact, one of the offering organizing, we took it a step further this year, and we're piloting this here in Tampa with this stylist named Michelle, who is absolutely amazing. She's even on our website with a little interview there. But have you ever used a stylist ever?
No.
Okay. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah.
And, until several years ago with my partner, she was taking a trip or maybe, getting ready for some meetings, it's sometimes leveraging someone else to kind of help you through that and get things ready for multiple days or whatever it is. And again, this is a service that really helps reduce anxiety. And, I don't know, like what am I going to wear? What am I, and then what do you do with all these other clothes? Maybe have a charity function that we're going to and you've worn this garment or dress for, one time or two times. And she's like, these can go to another place or be to consignment or donated to, Dress for Success. And these stylists have such a great service in that area. And again, I would probably not the person that would really benefit from it because I'm just so bland and basic. But, someone who has taste and they need that help, these stylists do magic, right? So we've partnered in with Michelle to, on occasion, if we have some clients that are, struggling with that organizing piece of it, but it's really, what do I do with all these clothes? And then it leads to, a styling consultation where, maybe they're just ready to, maybe they just recently had kids or something, or maybe they're going into a different career field, something that requires that expertise.
New wardrobe, yeah.
So we're trying to, Closet Envy is such a great name, and it has everything closet we want to be able to service. And, we could just focus on manufacturing design and crush it, but I just thought, there's such an opportunity here to not make it so transactional and be more involved in the client experience from end to end. And that's the only missing piece that I think is that we're trying to remedy and offer that on occasion. So so
I love that.
Professional styling.
Yeah, I think that just goes back to like we were talking about before, just the relationship side of it, because now you provide such a great service, and now they're going to come back to you or refer clients to you all the time.
We
right?
certainly hope so. Yeah, we hope so. And that's, And it is the organizing piece. I've recently got some feedback from a client over in Dunedin. I'm sure she won't mind me saying her name, but Katie Crum. She has 3 adorable kids, and they, like many, they went through a terrible flood with the storms, and were out of their house for almost a year. A lot of our clients have been through that, and we helped them with replacing some closets, and and they have this really amazing older home. Closets aren't very functional, really shallow, back then, I guess everybody was really short and small, but, and only a few pairs of pants, but we designed the closets, which was great, but, and they were super happy with it, but I just knew how much she was going through. And I said, hey, as part of our service, anybody that spends, qualified amount, basically over $4,000, it's going to come with professional organizing. That's just, we're just going to do it. You don't, if you don't want it, it's all okay. But, so I went ahead and extended that service, and when she texted me back, she was like, oh my gosh, that was such a great experience. Now I see why you do it, because it really just alleviated a lot of stress for her as a mom with 3, busy mom, 3 kids. And I think the mental health part of this business is, I didn't know that going in, but now I see that impact. And then, again, with styling as well. But I could talk for days about it.
It's pretty, it's pretty cool to see, from where you started 18 years ago at California Closets to now at Closet Envy and stuff, and how it's changed, and what you guys are doing to change the industry and just really just help people.
It's a service business. Absolutely. Hands down. We're a service business. We're not selling closets. It's a service business for sure.
I love that. Where can people get a hold of you, and what's?
We've got a great website, at closetenvy.com or theclosetenvy.com. You can all go to our local one. It'll tell a little bit more about our company culture and stuff like that. That's Closet Envy Tampa Bay.com. Or just give us a call, or I'll send me a text.
Awesome.
Happy to help.
Brent, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Donnie. It was great. I really appreciate it. It's great catching up with you.
For sure.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Palm Harbor Local. If today's conversation got you thinking differently about your home, your routines, or how your environment affects your day-to-day life, share this episode with someone who could use more clarity and calm in their space. You can follow Palm Harbor Local on Instagram, and we'll see you next week.